Maaser Sheni Perek Hey Mishnah Aleph. First Mishnah in the last chapter of Maaser Sheni. So we're going to talk in the next few Mishnayot about something called, well, in the Mishnah it calls it Neta Ravai, but we call halacha Neta Ravai. Kerem is a vineyard, Neta is the planting, Ravai, that's how I say it, Ravai, Kerem, Neta Ravai. What's this based on? This is based on some psukim in the Torah. It's a mitzvah tluya ba'aretz. V'chitavo el haaretz. If you should come to the land, unetatem kol etz ma'achal, and you plant any fruit tree, so it sounds like any fruit tree. V'araltem or lato et pirio shalosh shanim. For 3 years, araltem or lato. Arel is an uncircumcised, so it's a connotation of forbidden fruit. Shalosh shanim yelechem arelim lo yachel. So for 3 years, it should be arel, it should not be eaten. So those first 3 years are called, what do you know? Orla. That's the halacha, that when you plant a tree, during the first 3 years, you're not allowed to eat from the fruits of the tree. It's asur. Ubashana revi'it, yekol piryo kodesh shilulim lashem. In the 4th year, its fruit are kodesh shilulim, they're kadosh. And we learn from this, Chazal learned from this, that they have the exact same din as Maaser Sheni, i.e., they belong to God, kodesh shilulim lashem, and you take it to Yerushalayim and you can eat it. Ubashana chamishit tochlu et piryo, lo siv lechem tzivuato. In the 5th year, you can eat it, no problem, like your regular produce. Ani Hashem Elokechem. So these are the halachot we sort of learn of Orla, and then what we call Neta Ravai. Okay, and then after Neta Ravai, then the 5th year you can eat it. Okay, let me make sure. Here we go. Back to our Mishnah. Now there's a Gemara in Brachot. I'm just not going to read the whole thing. It's impossible to read the whole thing. It's the middle of a sugya. But the Gemara says the following: it's a machloket. Okay, Tani. Okay. There's a Hanich lemandama ditani Neta Ravai. And there's a machloket, meaning, how do I know? The Itmar. Rabbi Chia Rabbi Shimon Berebi. There's a machloket between Rabbi Chia and Shimon Berebi. Chad Tani Kerem Ravai. So one of them understood that anytime it's said in the Torah, Rivai, it's Kerem. It only refers to vineyards. V'chad Tani Neta Ravai. This is the term that we're referring to. Neta Ravai. The 4th year, meaning any produce. It could be an orange tree. It could be a mango tree. Now we paskin Neta Ravai, that it's not just Kerem Ravai, but for whatever reason, in the Mishnah calls it Kerem Ravai, because they're referring to the produce of the vine. Okay? So, but nonetheless, when it says in the Mishnah Kerem Ravai, for our purposes, it means any fruit, Neta Ravai, any fruit that is the 4th year. And the halacha, fruit of the 4th year, is similar to the halachot of fruit in Maaser Sheni, and that's why it appears in our Mishnah. So, says the Mishnah. Well, the problem is, of course, let's say I planted my mango tree, and we had Neta Ravai, Suffolk Neta Ravai in the mango tree, so I knew my mango tree is the 4th year. But other people don't know my mango tree is in the 4th year, and this is especially interesting or relevant for me to know, but even more so when it comes to Shemitah. It actually happened to be it was last year that I picked my Neta Ravai, and it was Shemitah. And nonetheless, anybody can take it. So Kerem Ravai, if I have fruit of the 4th year, Mitzainin Oto, so therefore the Mishnah says, you mark it. You mark the trees that are Kerem Ravai because the Zot Adama, with clumps of dirt. So i.e. there would be clumps of dirt put around it so that somebody would know. V'shel Orla, and the trees that are in their first 3 years, Becharsit, shards of pottery. V'shel Kvarot, if anybody had places that there were graves dug there, so Kohani would know not to go there, Besid, they would put lime there. Umemacheh V'shofech. If you took lime and you diluted it in water, and you would put it in water, and then you would pour it around the kever, and that would mark the kever as white. And the Yerushalmi, the Gemara quotes different reasons. Okay, Adama, okay, is very nice for Kerem Ravai because you're allowed to have hana'ah from it, just like you have hana'ah from the land. Orla is charsit because shards of pottery, it's considered like dead, and orla is prohibited to you. And sid, of course, is white like bones. That's what the Gemara says. It's another reason why they would mark it in that way, so everybody would know what it refers to. Okay, so why would you do this? Amar Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, when would you mark it? Bashvi'it. You would mark it in the 7th year, since anybody can come into your property and take produce that belonged to anyone. It was hefker. They had a right to know. You have an obligation to tell them during Shvi'it what is what, because even Orla is asur to them. And if it's Neta Ravai, they have to take it to Yerushalayim. Okay? Bartunura says Bashvi'it. Shakol hefker, everything is hefker, v'notnim b'heter, and everyone has permission to take. Aval b'shar shnei shavua, but the rest of the years during the 7 years, sheba'im ligzol, if they're going to come steal from you, Hal itehu l'rasha v'yamut. That's a quote, I think, from a pasuk. Meaning, v'yichum le'echol b'yisr. It's not your, like, leave it to the rasha. You know, you don't have to mark it and say, oh, no, well, don't worry about it. You know, I have to mark it and make sure you know that it's Neta Ravai, you have to take it to Yerushalayim. The guy's coming to steal from you. It's not your obligation to tell him that he's stealing orla, that he's not allowed to eat it in the first place. Nonetheless, the Mishnah says, it reminds me of a very famous story. They say, I don't know why I'm telling you this story, they said about the Chavetz Chaim, I think, or some famous Rav, you know, that a thief came and stole from him, and he's like running after him, he's saying, I'm ochel you, you know, like very righteous people do that. Normal people don't go out of their way to make it easier for people to steal from them. But the Mishnah continues, but sunu'im, people who are modest, okay, and know that people are taking from the kerem, we're talking about, let's assume we're talking about shvi'it, okay, and then people, instead of marking it, they would just put out money and say, kol nilkat mizeh, anyone who picks my kerem, my Neta Ravai, yeh muchulal la'ma'ot ha'elu, then the Neta Ravai should be muchulal on this money, and the money would therefore be muchulal, and then he would take the money to buy food in Yerushalayim like Maaser Sheni. That's very righteous people. Most other people, during Shvi'it, they'll let you know what you're taking, and the rest of the year, you know, if you're going to steal from them, it's your problem. We'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, as always, feel free to contact me at rspolter@gmail.com. We'll dedicate this learning of this mission to memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day.